Nico Haraga, who plays Seth, never likes to wear a shirt in real life. You know, we had to often ask him to put on a shirt. And that's something you don't see. Hi, I'm Amy Poehler, and here's what you didn't see in my new Netflix film, MOXIE.
What is that? It's a zine.
One of the things we really wanted to do was treat Vivian's life like a zine. And for those of you that don't know what a zine is, in the 90s, there were these pamphlets that young women mostly put out to kind of express what they were feeling. It was in many ways a deconstruction of old stereotypes and tropes. Take pin-up pictures from the 50s and then cut off people's heads, you know, figuratively. It was always about like co-opting stuff that came before and making it their own. So what you may notice in the film is that Vivian herself starts to add things to her clothes, her jacket, her room. That layering was something that we thought was really important. You don't really see that, but I think you sense it. There's a whole other movie that takes place in the library, and it's called The Breakfast Club. One of the things I like so much about young adult as a genre, you know, I grew up with these amazing John Hughes films that really spoke to me, is that you can't comment on what people are going through. When you're that age, everything feels very, very important. Oftentimes, there's this adult lens in which people make people of that age really sophisticated and wise. So there's just like these big-brained adult speeches from people who are supposed to be 15, 16.
Speaking in front of people is my worst nightmare.
And if we all remember that feeling of being 15, 16, it was very lost. Who am I? Where do I fit in? How do I get by? So I wanted to pay homage to that feeling I had when I watched films that spoke to me.
You love him. You want to have 15 of his babies.
One character that we worked hard on and that has a really beautiful arc in the film is Claudia, played by Lauren Side.
Oh. Right.
She's a first-generation, really high-achieving student, and we watch her have to figure out how much does she want to put herself at risk, and also what more does she have at risk than someone like Vivian.
I don't want to have to say the C word out loud.
Who is she on the spectrum, right, of an activist? What does that look like? And in my fantasy world, Claudia would be a person that went on to help change laws, which is its own very important part of the process of making change.
Those girls got moxie.
One area that we deviated from the book is we changed the principal to a woman. Generationally, sometimes women are disconnected from a present-day struggle. And so Principal Shelley, who really believes herself to be a supporter of young women.
If you want a seat at the table, pull up a chair.
But she's doing that thing that sometimes women do to each other, which is, I worked very hard and I didn't complain to get here, and I suggest you do the same, unless you want to be labeled somebody who complains.
Lucy, sticks and stones, sticks and stones.
Are you kidding me?
And so we wanted to unpack that a little bit, because it's an interesting dynamic. Misogyny and patriarchy, like, they're just not always so obvious. They're insidious. And so we really wanted to try in this film to show the humanness of all of this.
There's that word.
There's a scene in the film where Vivian and Seth have this like gender flip moment where Vivian really wants to keep going and Seth stops her to say like, just let's take a minute.
Vivian.
And I really loved that scene because I felt like it showed not only that Seth is paying attention, but you know, there's nothing wrong with female pleasure. I thought the politics of that scene was really interesting.
I just don't know if we should hurry up and do it before a football game.
And I remember thinking, if I do this right, the scene is going to feel really, really sweet. It's going to have that say anything feel. I was really happy with how that turned out. Enough about what you didn't see in MOXIE. Go see what you did see, or can see, or will have seen soon, or whatever.